Hey, what's going on, everybody? So this Sunday, we have the Vikings coming into Green Bay this time. The second time the Packers and Vikings have faced off against each other this season. Last time, the Vikings did beat the Packers 34-31. But this time, I think things may turn out a little bit differently. At least that's my personal opinion. Maybe you have a different idea of what could happen here. But we do have the 7-8 Vikings coming into Green Bay to take on the 12-3 Packers, who have been on a roll these past, 4 games. The Packers have won 4 straight since playing the Vikings, whereas the Vikings, I believe, have lost 3 of their last 5 games since facing off against the Green Bay Packers. So I think the biggest news that came out today, which is going to really impact this game, Vegas thought so as well, is the news that Kirk Cousins is not going to be playing in this game because he has been placed onto the COVID reserve list. And so with that happening, QB Sean Mannion, if that's how you say his name, is going to be starting in his place. And with that happening, with Kirk Cousins no longer being the starting quarterback, the line in Vegas moved from around 6.5 points, favoring the Packers, to 13.5 points. So Vegas thinks that this is a big shift because, I mean, Kirk Cousins, he's a pretty solid quarterback. Maybe he's not one of the greatest, but I think he's a pretty solid quarterback. And the last time the Packers faced him, he played really well. Justin Jefferson went off against us, 8 receptions, 169 yards, and 2 touchdowns. But he is not going to be in this game. And if we take a look at the stats of Sean Mannion, his last stats back in 2019 was the last time he played. He threw for 384 passing yards, 0 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, which is a 57.5 passer rating. So clearly, that isn't really, those aren't really the kind of stats you want to see from a quarterback. We'll just leave it at that for now. The thing, though, in this game, that I think, clearly the Packers need to stop, the one strength of this Vikings offense without Kirk Cousins being in there, is clearly going to be stopping Dalvin Cook, who was recently activated back to their roster. So he will be playing in this game. And this game is going to be like frigid, freezing cold. It's Sunday night in Green Bay. I was trying to look at the weather for this game coming in on Sunday night. And for Sunday, the high is 16, the low is like -6. So with the game being at, whatever it is, like 7:30 p.m. Central, most likely somewhere around there, it's probably going to be on the colder end. And then who knows what the, cold front, or not the cold front, the wind chill is going to be. It could be negative when the game starts. So with that being the case, I think regardless, teams are going to have to rely on the run a lot. Clearly, we'll still pass, but it's going to be the one thing the Packers need to do on defense is stop Dalvin Cook, who we have had trouble stopping in the past, especially, year prior. So hopefully the Packers can stop him because Dalvin Cook is such a great player, one of the best running backs in the NFL. And if we take a look at this Packers run D, we have struggled greatly the past few weeks, especially last week. So last week, we allowed the Browns to rush for 219 yards, which was 8.8 yards per carry allowed to the Cleveland Browns, which is absolutely terrible. Luckily, the Packers still held on in that game, but that was an ugly performance when it came to stopping the run. And since the bye, the Packers have actually allowed 166 rushing yards per game. So I think the one way that the Vikings could beat the Packers, if they were to, which I don't think is going to happen, is, clearly Dalvin Cook just going ham in this game. But I just think that with how good this Packers offense has been, and the fact that this game is going to be at Lambeau Field in December when it's freezing cold, it's going to be tough, I think, for the Vikings to keep up with the Packers, which means they can't necessarily rely on the run the entire game. So you may have to rely on your quarterback a little bit, which I think could be tough, and I think the Packers could get some turnovers here. So Dalvin Cook, definitely the one guy the Packers need to stop in this game. And then moving to the other side of the ball, and then my sort of bold prediction for this game that I'll give you right here, which has to do with the Packers offense. So taking a look at the Vikings defense right now, they're the 23rd ranked scoring defense in the NFL this season, 28th ranked rushing defense in the NFL, 27th ranked passing defense in the NFL. So basically they haven't been very good so far this season. Last week versus the Rams in their loss, they gave up 159 rushing yards to the Los Angeles Rams. Sony Michel for the Rams had 27 carries, 131 yards, and 4.8 yards per carry. They did, however, intercept Matthew Stafford 3 times, but it still wasn't enough to pull off the victory. So with this game being freezing cold and freezing cold temperatures at Lambeau Field in December, I think this is going to be just an A.J. Dillon taking the game over, because I feel like for A.J. Dillon, what we've always said, since we've seen, sparks since last year when he, ran all over the Tennessee Titans, we've talked about A.J. Dillon as that, like, cold weather back, the guy who can you just hand him the ball, he just plows over people, he runs over people when, in the cold weather in Green Bay. And I think this is the perfect game for A.J. Dillon just to go ham in this game. So I think A.J. Dillon is going to rush for 100-plus yards in this one and 2 touchdowns in this game here in Lambeau Field versus the Minnesota Vikings. So I also think, too, when you look at this Packers offense and just how good we've been recently, just how good Aaron Rodgers has been, I think it is going to be tough for the Vikings to stop this Packers offense. There have been times and moments, though, where this Packers offense is like getting on a roll, putting up tons of points, like last week putting up, 21 points in the first half. And then, though, in the second half, though, the Packers only put up, 3 points. And so we do like accelerate and go crazy fast, and then sometimes we just sort of stop. Like, I'm not exactly sure why that is. Maybe we're not being aggressive enough, but that is one, I think, area where the Packers offense needs to improve is, keeping their foot on the gas pedal, continuing to score, not letting up, because there have been lots of games where we've been ahead by a lot, and then it gets a lot closer, like with the Ravens that one game a couple games ago, with the Browns last week as well. But I still do think the Packers are going to put up points in this game. I do think that Aaron Rodgers is going to have a great game here in Green Bay. I mean, it's just like a perfect Green Bay Packers game here. It's going to be, January 1st, January 2nd probably is the date. So it's going to be a fun one, but those are my thoughts on the game. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And if you haven't subscribed, I put out Packers content pretty much daily. So if you want to see more of that, feel free to subscribe. And also my social media, Luke_Beller on Twitter, LukeBeller3 on Instagram. But thank you guys so much for watching. Drop a like if you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys next time.